a definition of what you consider is the far right?
In terms of a definition of the far right, I mean, it's obviously a political ideology, or it's a particular view that a person has. I'm not sure there is a definition. It's not.
So it's a little bit like hate.
Well,
yeah.
So it's not.
So I think we need to define
Senator,
what it is.
you have a limited amount of time. If you interrupt the minister,
Okay.
you're going to run out of time. So just let her answer the question.
Thank you.
I think what we see from a lot of people who would claim to be far right, which is not a crime for somebody to have a particular ideology, it's where they act on maybe certain matters, but we have seen people to be anti-government, anti-state, anti-immigration, anti-women's rights, amongst other things. That would be my own particular view of those who would claim to be far right.
So that was in a committee. That was not a question put to her by your journalist, but I know you've engaged with Helen McEntee before, because she really does seek to implement the world's most onerous censorship regime, and she says being far right is not a crime, but she seeks to essentially criminalize far right content. Now, I'd like you to describe it. I've read the bill and I've done a show on it, but listen, I'm over here in Canada. You're in the heart of Ireland yourself. My understanding is that this would criminalize even what you have, say, on your phone. If someone sends you a meme or an email or an image, even if you just have it in your possession, you haven't deployed it yet. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I'm confusing it with other hate crime bills, like ones we've got coming in Canada. Tell me the worst, or tell me the truth, really, about Ireland's proposed hate speech bill. Go ahead.
So you're right about that. The fact that you don't even have to disseminate the alleged hate material if it's just simply found in your possession. So say, as you say, something on your phone, something on your laptop, maybe the police, for some reason, they're in your house and they find out that you have an objectionable pamphlet or leaflet. There doesn't have to be any evidence or proof that you have distributed this to another person. If it's deemed to be hateful, you can be jailed merely for possessing it. And in fact, it is the burden of responsibility, or the burden of proof, should I say, is on you to prove your innocence. It's been reversed, where you need to try and somehow prove, I did not intend to disseminate this so-called hate material. And I mean, you know as well as I do that that's almost a logical impossibility. You can't prove a negative. How do you prove you didn't intend to do something? You know, it's not really something that is going to be easy to explain in court. But even more fundamentally than that's one element of the bill that's problematic. It doesn't even define the word hate. It's a hate speech bill, but when you read the text of the legislation, it says that hatred means hatred on the basis of XYZ characteristics, which is a circular definition. So hatred effectively means whatever somebody wants it to mean when they're trying to prosecute you. And it even has more logical absurdities, like one of the protected characteristics is genders other than that of male or female. That's what it says in the text. But when I asked our Taoiseach, which is effectively our Prime Minister, I asked him, how many genders are there according to the government based on this legislation? Because actually our leader of the Seanad last year, she's like our Senate Majority Leader, I guess you would call it in North America, she said that there were about 9 genders. So about 9.
Well, Facebook has discovered 53, I should tell you. So they're discovering more every day in the lab. You know, scientists are actively searching. We have that. I didn't know that was you who put the question to Leo Varadkar. Am I pronouncing that right? I'm not going to try the Irish name for. It's basically the Prime Minister. How do you say that word in Irish?
Taoiseach.
Taoiseach. Okay, there's wonderful, beautiful Irish terms that I just never hear them spoken here. I read them, but I don't know how to say them. Taoiseach, that's great. So here's Leo Varadkar, who's, if I'm not mistaken, he's a World Economic Forum young leader, just like Justin Trudeau and Jacinda Ardern were, and Mark Rutte. And that was you who asked him how many genders there are. I didn't know that. Here, let's take a quick look at that. That's just great.
Taoiseach, the hate speech bill makes gender a protected characteristic, but Michael McDowell and others have noted that the Gender Recognition Act only recognises 2 genders, while the hate speech bill explicitly refers to more genders than just male or female. Your Seanad leader, Senator Regina Doherty, previously said that there are about 9 genders.
Generations ago, there were 2 genders. You know, there were 2 sexes. There still are two sexes, but today I think we probably have about 9 genders, and that doesn't diminish any other gender within the gender identity set.
So how many genders are there, and can we get the government's official position on that?
Look, there isn't official position on that, but I'm sure that will all be debated in the course of the debates in the Senate.
You know what? I love the fact, Ben, that you're able to get within question asking range of these political leaders. You've scrummed Helen McEntee before. She was trying to say that most Irish people like this censorship bill. And I got to tell you, like I said, I've never been to Ireland, but I want to remedy that quickly. I've just passed through the airport once. When I think of Ireland, I think of scrappy, proud, stubborn people who tell it like it is, who aren't afraid to swear, whose poetry even is rebellious. I think of prickly pears like Sinead O'Connor even. Someone who's just such a handful. When I think of Ireland, I do not think of docile, passive, obedient people. I mean, maybe I'm just stereotyping here, but the idea that most Irish people would put up their hand and say, please, can you censor me? I just don't see it. I mean, there's a ton of Irish people in North America, obviously. There's more Irish expats than there are Irish. And there's a phrase, the fighting Irish. And it's a compliment. The idea that the Irish people, I even think of Morrissey's song, Irish Heart, English Blood, this I'm made of, and there's no one on earth I'm afraid of. The land of Conor McGregor, that they're signing up to be censored. I don't buy it. And you put it to your team at Gript. Here, I'll let the video do the talking, because they claimed the Irish wanted it, but you guys actually counted, and it was a lie. Take a look at this.
Yesterday, you indicated that the only people who oppose your government's hate speech laws are, quote, fringe commentators. But of the thousands of replies to your own government's public consultations, 73% were negative. And according to the last poll done on the subject, 65% of people oppose such laws. So is it not, in fact, your government that's endorsing the fringe position here?
What I think is very clear, and this is coming from the significant amount of public consultation that we've had in the last 4 years, consultation that started back in 2018, is that there is a very clear group of minority people in this country who are simply targeted and who are being either victimised or harassed, assaulted, who are victims of hate speech and hate crime simply because of who they are. So that is very clear, that is based on fact, and that is also based on reports that we have.
But Minister, with request, that's not what I asked. But I'm sorry, that's not what I asked. And also, I've gone through every single one of the consultation responses. There were about 3,600 of them, and that's really not what they said. The vast majority of people said they don't want this. So where are you getting the idea that there's public outcry for this other than government-paid NGOs?
So that's incorrect to say that the vast majority of people don't want this. I think even if you were to listen to the debate last night in the Seanad, and certainly the debate in the Dáil, the vast majority of people do want this.
But those are politicians. We're talking about the general public. Where's the public outcry?
I can either answer the question or not, but I mean, what I'm basing this on is very clear factual evidence. If you speak to Garda Síochána, there has been a 29% increase in hate crimes across this country. So while we don't have hate crime legislation...
Recorded hate crimes.
So they're trying to claim that the Irish want to be censored. They do that in Canada too. No human being wants to be censored. The only people who are calling for this are the people who would be the censors, or the people who are plotting on how to use this against, against too much free speech.